Hello, mate.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, hello.
How's it today?
Weather's quite right where I am.
Quite right or quite
right?
right?
Quite right.
Quite right or quite ripe?
Quite right.
Quite right. Oh, over
Quite
here it's
right.
quite ripe.
Right. What do you think? Are you going out today? You're going to stay home? What are you doing?
Well,
Hiding inside?
I have lots of stuff to do today, TK.
Me too, but a bunch of it just got canceled.
Well, I mean,
It's just like one thing after another, and people are like, snow. God.
It's a sprinkling of snow outside. I mean, you can't go outside when it's sprinkling snow these days.
You know, I was driving on the 404 the other day coming home. It was late night. The sun was down. The moon was out. The wind was blowing. And I caught the tail end of two snowplows. And I followed them all the way home safely.
Safely and slowly.
And as I'm going, they were making this big pile against all the on ramps and off ramps, and everyone was just trying to get over that pile, and they're all getting stuck. And it was just like cars everywhere. And I thought about stopping to help, but I didn't want to risk it.
Yeah. Listen, it's the thought that counts.
I did think about it. I thought,
what
am I going to do? There was tow trucks.
It's like we talked about last week. It's like, everybody wants to talk about what's wrong, right? And everybody wants to think about doing something, right? But nobody really wants to do something about it.
No one wants to affect their own situation. When I'm driving down the highway safely, do I really want to take the chance of going anywhere near the border of danger and safety? It just doesn't make sense to me.
I don't know why anybody ever would. Quite honestly.
I drove by, I said, he looked like he had a cell phone.
I'm pretty sure that guy's got a cell phone. He's gonna be okay. Yeah.
He'll be fine.
He'll be fine.
And so when people are seeing mortgage rates go up, they're saying, you know what? I know a lot of people are going to get hurt, but because I plan on buying soon, prices are coming down. And I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that.
Right?
That's a good segue, TK, because I was wondering, like, we see in the news that there's like the biggest correction in the world going to be here in Canada, right?
The news.
Daryl.
It's not the news. It's BD.
Let's not get into the idea that my entire life is a lie, TK. Let's not go there, okay? Talking about the media.
I don't think people liked the immigration talk last week. They were like, geez, you guys, immigration, that's not
idiots. Yeah, that can't help. Don't you know that we have way too many units built already? There's way too many empty units built.
Don't you know everyone's going to just be broke and giving up their unit for 50% of what they paid for it 2 years ago?
For sure, because unemployment is going to go through the roof all of a sudden.
Absolutely. Unemployment's coming.
When rates are at...
Everybody's...
What do rates have to be at for this unemployment thing to kick in?
I wonder what inflation needs to be at for this unemployment thing to kick in. Right? What does the cost of gas have to be at for this unemployment thing to kick in?
So what happens? Like when gas gets too expensive, people go, okay, that's it. Like unemployment makes more sense for me now. I shouldn't go to work. I can't go to work now. Look at this.
Don't think it's the employees that make those decisions.
So is it the employer going, you know what, guys, like it's costing a lot of money to heat this place right now.
Trying to ship these staples across the country to be able to deliver them to our customers, and 40% increase in shipping costs. So Debbie, we don't need you doing the bookkeeping anymore. Okay, I'm gonna get my 12-year-old son to do it.
QuickBooks. We're gonna start using QuickBooks.
We're gonna use QuickBooks, Debbie. I'm sorry.
You've been replaced. It's 2023.
Right.
We're going on to QuickBooks.
The reality is everything is possible. Anything is possible. But I like to report on the present, because everyone was reporting on the future and everyone kept getting it wrong for so long.
Oh, what an interesting angle, TK, to report on the present.
And then the past. I mean, everybody's got their own interpretation of the past, but it's obvious. I mean, the past, it's not debatable. it's there. We all see it. So really, it's just like, well, what's going on right
but we
now?
all see it differently. That's kind of
but
a
we all
fuck
know
up.
what happened. Either prices went up, they went down, interest rates went up or went down. But it's the past.
It's the past, but it
past.
gets seen through very, very different lenses.
At the time it does, but now
after
maybe the reasoning people will come up with different ideas, but the facts
later
it'll
facts,
be
like Tiff McCallum is gonna win a Pulitzer and a Nobel Prize. Can Canadians win those awards? Is that possible?
Yes, but I think he's definitely
the guy's a freaking genius. We got a soft landing.
I think he's doing his job.
We got a soft landing going on. Do we have a soft landing?
What's going on out there right now in the real estate market? We got a guest today, I believe.
Yes, we do.
Hopefully we've got some real estate chatter. But what's going on? Personal anecdotes. Okay. Sales up from February last year. No. January we were up big time. February we're not up from February last year, or if we are, it's not as much as January. Right? There's a big difference we did in January compared to last.
Who's January. We? Are we talking about a nation here, or just
no, our team?
Localized?
Now, the February to January numbers overall, right, seem like it's picking up. Also, inventory.
February to January, is that what you
month
just
over
said?
month? Yeah, we're at the end of the month now, so it's kind of easy to see what's been happening, and things have been picking up in February compared to January. But listings have also been picking up, so there's definitely increased amount of listings coming on. It's noticeable. Right, more
inventory,
more and more inventory has been coming on, which
people
is seasonal.
Been warning us about this.
It's pretty normal. It's seasonal.
It's normal.
Yeah, okay. People were getting their houses ready in January. Now they're putting them on in February, and then they're getting them ready for March. I got a couple coming up soon. They're all in the same boat.
So everybody seems to think seasonally, always.
I think it's just the way.
This is one thing that we can draw from the past, TK, that we have no problem completely copying. And well, I don't know. I'm saying like we pick and choose what we can do. We can not take stuff from the past because that was the past and it was different then. Or it's like, well, you know what? I mean, it is February. So this is what happens in February. This is normal for February. Which is it, TK? You can't suck and blow.
I pick and choose, the flavor of the day, I mean, it depends on what I'm seeing. I mean, I'm human. I'm easily influenced, but it's obvious. The truth is, it's obvious that there's a lot of pain out there still. It's obvious that we've got a major issue with the new construction and assignments. Major issue there. Like that's something that's not over with yet.
What's happening with that? Like, I don't really hear anything about. I see like a couple of power of sales coming up here and there.
Here are the options, right? It's either going to be the developers take a loss, or the consumers take a loss, or both.
Right? Or both. Or what about the banks? The banks are going to start taking losses. Then what happens? Is that when we start reversing course, TK? When the banks start taking hits?
I don't think the banks are going to take a loss.
What? Who takes the loss?
I think that the consumers are going to take a loss. I think that these people who have the money are going to be trying to prevent themselves from going bankrupt. And so that they're going to be selling assets that they own to be able to liquidate, to be able to pay off most of what they have. I mean, there's some losses that, some people will have, but most of these investors, the equity is coming from somewhere, right? Most of these guys, they've got other properties and stuff like that. It's very few people were going in with either no skin or no other assets to liquidate. And that's what they'll do, is they'll have to liquidate and sell. Right. But I think the developers are going to be definitely taking their lumps here.
There's definitely some developers that will be taking their lumps. Absolutely. Right? I mean, we're seeing it. We have Danielle Levy joining the show, TK.
Well, I'm tired of talking to you, Darryl. Let's bring it on.
I'm tired of talking to you too, TK. I don't even know what the hell we're talking about anymore.
I don't feel
we can hear you.
Okay, so listen, I have a bit of a problem because I keep trying to put this background in and it's not working.
Oh, don't even worry about that. You're the only person that actually has ever listened to that.
Thank you for trying.
Thanks for trying.
Oh, yeah. See, like, I don't know what's going on here.
Whoa.
That is amazing. Can we please do the show like this?
That is amazing. Well, we're live.
You can get rid of the background.
That's great.
It's okay.
But I can't seem to figure it out. Hold on 1 second.
Don't worry. We're only recording for
that's cool. There,
6,000 people.
Awesome.
Hello.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Danielle.
Nice to meet you too.
How's it going?
Good. I mean, I woke up early for you guys on a weekend, so
You woke up early. What time is it? Are you in like Calgary or something?
Well, I usually sleep in on Saturday, sometimes if I'm not busy on the weekend.
I'm jealous.
A luxury I have not had in, I don't even know how long. I've been waking up at like stupid hours, not on purpose, forever.
Like stupid as in
Like
6
early.
in the morning?
Earlier.
Yeah, that's
like
insane.
I don't sleep. I'm really Batman. Nobody knows. You're all hearing it here first. I'm actually an evening vigilante.
Nobody knew until now.
Nobody knew until now because I'm not making much of an impact, TK.
Well, let's get Danielle to introduce herself. We got listeners. We're recording already, Danielle. We're in the mix. We're here.
We're live.
It's not live, but it's being recorded. And so we're going to be able to go, over this and make sure everything looks great afterwards. But tell us about yourself, Danielle.
So my name is Danielle, and I actually live in Toronto now. I was living in Vaughan 4 months ago, and I work with Sudden Group Admiral. I have my own little team. By team, I mean I have an assistant that works with me, and hopefully I'm going to grow. And I've been in real estate for a while. I'm only 26, but a total of 11 years in the industry.
Awesome. Explain that. We're all doing the math in our head.
That's good.
Right
yeah.
Now. So you're working admin. What were you
Since
working
you were
before?
3 years old? Did I do the math right?
No. Since I was like 15 and a half, I've 15. Been my first job was at Remax Hallmark.
Yep.
And I wasn't really planning on becoming a real estate agent. I actually hated realtors. So I actually did get into the comments
of this
Welcome
show.
to the group.
Yeah. I hated realtors. I hated working for them.
Realtors.
Yeah, they're not nice.
No, they're not good either.
Yeah, I was
except for you too. You guys are the best.
There's some of us that are the best.
There are.
There's a certain group of us on Twitter that I really like. Not so much TikTok, but I'm sure you guys know that.
I'm not on
my
TikTok.
2 platforms that I avoid for those exact 2 reasons. But okay, so you're working admin. You're seeing the ins and outs. You're like, man, this job, these guys are stressed all the time. They're rude. It's like, this guy's not making any money. This guy thinks he's hot stuff. And one day you were just like, hey, well, maybe I could do that. Why don't I get my license?
I was a personal assistant, and I worked in property management, and I worked for a few developers as well. So I got a little bit of taste of everything in the industry, and I didn't like it. And I was in school and I finished, and I was going to become a lawyer, and it just changed for me. I'm like, you know what? If these clowns can make money by lying, I can just get into the industry and be different. And it's been working out for me.
That's how I became a developer.
This is a great start to the show.
If all these other guys can do it, I probably used the term clown in my head, but if all these other guys could do it, I can certainly do this too. Yeah. And look where we are, guys. This is great. So did you get into it? Like, was there a family member that was a realtor or something? Like, how were you?
I don't have any family here. My parents, I don't know anything about real estate at all.
So how did you at 15 get a job in a real estate office?
I applied online.
Did you say you were like 18?
The legal age to actually work as admin is 16. So what happened was I wasn't 16 yet. So I started working for an agent for a few months before I turned 16. And then the minute I turned 16, I actually started working for the company.
Look, there's fraud everywhere in the industry, TK. Even the admin assistants have to lie about their ages. Isn't this... That's fun.
That's a good story. Like, I think
story.
Everybody's got to have a good story, right? And it's like, that to me is a good story. You started out in the industry
and you hated
squeezing in just the minimum age. And then it was like, I can see the holes in the industry itself, and I'm going to make it better. Here I am.
I was allowed to work as an assistant for another realtor. He was just paying me in his own way, but you couldn't work for an office until you turned 16. So
that makes sense. Yeah, my dad's a realtor, and so he definitely had child labor going on when I was real young, and that's just the way it goes.
Oh yeah, I had my kids on the job sites,
and my
when they were
kids
little.
Definitely help out when I need them to. So
until my daughter fell, then she wouldn't come anymore. My daughter fell on the job site once, and that was it. It was too bad.
Yeah. Are your kids older? Truck? Like, do they work in the industry?
My daughter will have her real estate license by the end of next month, it looks like.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she's 19. She's going to be 20. And my son, who's 16, is like, Dad, think I want to do what you do.
Yeah.
I'm going to go make a deal by the time I'm 18. He told me this yesterday. Dad, I'm going to make a deal by the time I'm 18. And I was like, all right, buddy, let's go. Wow. Giddy up, boy.
Isn't it crazy?
Good luck.
Especially on social media. I was talking to some, I'm in an apartment building downtown in the annex on Wednesday. And the agent's telling me about some buyer that he's got who's super young and everything else, right? Like, sorry, the seller. And he's like, oh, it's just a young group of guys. So then I told him a story about a guy who was offering on a building I was selling before, who was like 22 years old. And he was like the most organized kid ever. You know, he was doing analysis for like a pretty big an investment company. And, you know, he showed up like ready to go, like money, like arranged and everything. So it was like things are getting really different now because of social media. And I think that these 19, 20-year-olds are looking at deals, whether it be development, wholesaling, real estate, whatever it is. Have you seen some of the ads, Danielle, on social media where like they're trying to sell things to realtors? So it's like $350 a month and you'll get all these leads or whatever. But the kid's like 20 years old in a suit, like telling me that I should buy leads from him. Like,
and it works.
It's crazy though. Like,
it works.
Sorry, it works for who? It works for him, for his ads to sell that
well,
package every month, or it works for the realtors to buy the leads. Which one?
Both. No, the leads are all crap, but it works for him.
It works for him. Okay.
It works for him.
We have a saying here on the Canadian Real Estate Show. It's the only guaranteed way to make money in real estate is to sell things to realtors, because those guys will buy anything.
I learned that from TK. TK is the master.
That's our motto here. So we're not.
Well, it seems like a sure way, like a sure win.
Yeah.
I mean, realtors are looking for a way to get an edge while simultaneously keeping the level of work at its current pace, which is for most pretty damn close to like checking the messages and like calling a couple people back. It's funny, man. Like there's some realtors out there that it's like, are you interested in buying a church? Like where's the church? Like, can I get a little bit more info? Yeah. Can you have a call with this guy? Like, who's this guy? Oh, he's the guy who's got the church. Like, where? How am I going to get? And this is like a regular kind of runaround. It's like, it's really crazy. But a younger, more technologically savvy realtor right now who's got their shit together, man, can really do some damage. Because I can't imagine it's hard for like other people to sniff out these horrible realtors. Like,
it's close to impossible now. Yeah. I was actually on a different podcast and I was talking about it. It was on TLN. And we were talking about how social media is so dangerous now, because how do you know who you're going to trust or who you can believe? Because everyone's so sure of themselves online. And majority of people are just naive. They just don't know.
No. And
what do you do? Yeah. Like what would you recommend to a client? Like, what do you tell your clients to recognize the value that you have in order to be able to, make sure that they're making the right decision?
I tell them to interview like 5-6 realtors. Like if you see someone online and you see their presence online and you're happy with it, that's not enough to make a decision.
No,
such a big transaction.
Social media is like just a really long billboard.
It is.
Right.
A really
long billboard where you can edit like constantly. Right. So it's like through meeting a bunch of people that we deal with in social media, you see that, a lot of bark is way better than the bite.
Well, I know someone who got his license about 5-6 months ago and he started a podcast. But I know because we have mutual friends that, he's only done like 3 lease deals and he's out here giving people advice. And that's scary.
On like $80 million land assembly.
Like, talking about things that he just should not be talking about.
Yeah.
I won't talk about things that I don't know. Like I don't know that much about development like you do. And I can admit to that. And I spoke to another realtor who's very big in land space and he sells buildings and he's really big in commercial. And he's like, you know what, if you have any questions, you call me, I can teach you everything. And I can be honest when I don't know everything. Some of these realtors, they're not honest with themselves.
I think I give credit though for a new agent for putting themselves out there. And I think that is, I think, the start of it all. You know, like the fake it till you make it kind of thing. But you're right, though. You have to draw the line. So if you have a podcast, what a good way for a realtor to do would be to just bring on guests. Yes. So you have the podcast, you're new, but then you just bring on other realtors and you bring on other guests and you bring on more people. And so over time, so over time, so you're providing value from real experts. And over time, people will see you as being like their point of contact for information.
Well, right? What most do is they become the expert. Right. They go on there and they say like prices are only going up. Or if you look at the long term trend in Toronto over 30 years, prices only go up and you should. But people become the expert now. And with all the fancy editing and all the tricks and, you know, you can rent the Lambo for the background. But it's a joke, but it's not a joke. Like, this is what's going on. People are out there and they're talking a talk and they're acting as if, or whatever you want to say from whatever course told you to do it, but they are, and they're teaching people stuff and people are listening. And so most people don't see someone in social media and then meet them and know that there's a disconnect. Right. Yeah. Most people don't understand that they don't know what they're talking about, even when they're in front of them now. Right. And then most people have like a group or a band of merry men behind them, like the mortgage guy and the lawyer, who are all, you know, schmucks too. And next thing you know, you got like an article written about you in every news media outlet in Canada because you got your house stolen when you went on vacation.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
What Danielle, what's going on out there in the market? So we've got a bunch of stories out there, a lot of anecdotes about the market and February's numbers and all that kind of stuff. What are you seeing personally in your business?
I see that prices have gone down, but not to a certain crazy extent. Like, interest rates are still really high. And I'm hearing that out east, there's bidding wars like crazy. My friend's showing
Durham region.
Yeah, it's insane. I don't find that here. I actually just listed a condo in Mississauga and it's been pretty slow. I thought that it would pick up a little bit. We've had a few showings in the last 3 days. I just feel like there's not enough supply yet. Like, we haven't reached that in that time in the market where I'm expecting a lot more supply in the third quarter. And everyone's waiting for these crazy price drops.
Why? Why in the third quarter?
What's happening in the third quarter? What do you know that we don't know?
We want to know.
I've been reading about it online. I actually discussed with a few people on Twitter that there's going to be more foreclosures, power of sales in the third quarter. A lot more people are going to start defaulting, renewals are coming up. So I feel like that's going to put more supply into the market.
Do you remember when the pandemic happened and they had the deferral cliff, right? And everyone was saying the mortgages are being deferred. So what it was is the banks and the government all said, you don't have to pay your mortgage for up to 6 months. And there was all these different things.
I heard that. Yeah.
So then it was like, okay, all these people now are going to be forced to sell because they now have to pay those payments, and they didn't have to make those payments before, but they don't have a job anymore. So therefore,
and that didn't happen.
And then it didn't happen. And then the trigger rate was the new one, right? The trigger rate was everyone's rate's going to get triggered. Trigger gate, whatever. That didn't happen. And so, like, I totally agree with you. I feel like what you're saying is going to happen too. It's like, it has to. It's like, why is it not happening?
Well,
but so far, we've all been wrong so far. So I'm kind of like, what's going on? What do I do? What do I say? How do I get there?
I don't like to say 100%, but I do know that a lot of Canadians borrow against their homes, and the interest is killing people. And I do know that I know a lot of people personally that can't even keep up with these interest payments. Like, it's too much. They're getting third.
And there's a Macan and a Cayenne in the driveway, right?
Yeah.
I had a story like that the other day. And as I'm telling him, because he's telling me, well, why is it that people are so, and I said, well, because after they got the mortgage, they went out and bought, and I named a couple cars, and then he went quiet. And then as we're talking, he says, well, I had drive this, and then I mortgaged my house to buy that. And I was just like, oh shit, I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, we were at Harbor 60 because and what time is it?
He was the guy who actually did that. And that's why he was selling. I was like, oh boy.
But pulled up to the Lambo, pulled up to the restaurant in a Lambo with the Rolex, and can't make the mortgage.
I just borrow Daryl's anytime I need to go anywhere and look at it. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people also they pulled out, bought more real estate. These are all new investors.
Like rental properties, investment properties. Ooh.
Yeah.
Airbnbs, no doubt.
We prefer to call them speculators.
Oh, no, they're a little different. These are just madmen. Okay, check this cascading effect out. Okay, so you're lucky enough to somehow own a house. Probably mom and dad gave you some money. You put a down payment. You got a house. House goes up over a couple of years, right? And you don't really do much. You just kind of like go out for dinners, go to the gym, and you live in a nice life. Maybe you have a job in tech that pays you something stupid for doing nothing, and now you got a friend who's like, I'm selling new condos and this is a fucking steal, and like, just give me like $100,000, you'll get like 5 of them and you'll never close. Don't worry about it, right?
Yeah.
Fine, $100,000. I got $100,000 in my pocket, bro. Like bottle service tonight, right? And so he buys 5 condos and then boom, everything just changes overnight. The tech company fires his ass, right? His house is going down in value, rates are going up, and closing's coming. And so how many of those did we have? Did that cliff hit, TK? But this is like this is a mindset for a lot of people out there. Like they were balling out based on their houses, and they were taking money out to borrow against something. And now they're all sitting there going like, oh my God, what do I do?
That's what Canadians do, though. They use their house for everything.
Everything.
And it's so dangerous because they think they can predict the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Like everyone's trading real estate like it's a short-term stock, when really it's a buy and hold type of investment. And it's been crazy.
It's hard not to, though. Like even in my lifetime, just running up, like, so TK gave us an article to discuss, and like the difference between buying now and in the 90s, which this is a great topic because there's like 3 different kind of, like, I'm almost 50, TK's almost 40. Are you 40?
Hey, be nice.
What are you, 40?
Yes.
Yeah. And so you're probably in your mid 20s, right? Early 20s.
Yeah, 26.
So, right. So I remember I bought in the 90s my first house, and it was fucking crazy. I bought like from a builder off of plans, and there's lineups out the door to get into this sales office, right? So I like, it didn't seem very different to now back then for me, but you read this article and it was like, didn't sound very fun at the beginning of the 90s. Right. And so we had this whole decade where prices were like flat and decreasing. So now I know in my whole lifetime, prices have just been going up, 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 up. And I'm old, right? Like but we've had a couple of little crashes, like blips, but like up, 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 up. Same for TK for sure. Constantly up. Yeah. Never had an inflation thing. So like, but people your age must be like, some of them must be getting fucking destroyed, and some of them must be so loaded it's disgusting.
Some are, and a lot of them aren't. A lot of them probably won't be able to buy maybe till they're 36, 37, it looks like.
What's the experience like for younger people now? Like people don't get married till they're older now, and it's like a different life. What's it like to look for your first place and to shop in this environment?
Well, a lot of the people that I grew up with in my area have family money. So their parents are gifting them down payments, or they've already bought them pre-construction units from 5 years ago. I have friends that are younger than me that already own like 2, 3 condos that their parents bought them pre-con. So their parents are the ones that are really making these smart choices for them. As for people, regular people my age, they're just renting and they're dealing with these crazy high rental prices. So it's a mix of both from the area that I grew up in Thornhill, and it's very different for everybody. I have some friends that are trying to get into the market, but they don't have enough money. They can't do it. And I tell them straight up, I'm like, they want to put 5% down, but then they can't even afford the mortgage. And I don't really talk to anyone who does mortgage fraud personally. When I saw these articles, I was in shock. And then I saw something yesterday saying that 70% of realtors are saying that it's okay to do a little bit of mortgage fraud. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Yeah.
70% of realtors.
Yeah,
okay.
70% of realtors.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, what constitutes
it's okay
fraud?
if it closes your deal, TK.
Exactly.
It's fine if it
Darryl made
helps
this
you.
point when everything was going on is maybe the realtors aren't involved in like that, like, you know, fraudulent notice of assessments or whatever else that has to be done to do that. But like, you know, they'll say, well, you know what, this house is going to be a rental property, but just say you're going to live in it so you can put 5% down. Or stated income, like, you know, I know you only make like 60, but just, you know, this program, you can say you make 90. Like there's little things like that that I think more realtors are involved with than anybody could imagine. But the actual fraud, like that, like I don't know any realtors who are involved in that. So for me to say 70%, like it's not inclusive of like what the CBC marketplace thing was doing. That's just like basic little fraud stuff, like your average little white lie, like when you fill out your credit card application and you're like, $500,000 income, let's just see what they approve me for. I just want to find out what they're gonna say, you know, like, and then they're like,
how much of the
your
income
notice
are
of
they
assessments,
faking?
please, sir. Sorry,
how much of the income are they faking? Because those people,
I imagine that they would have to do like all new income, and I think what the one company, the True North Mortgage in that series, was saying that it was like a fake company.
They
So
open
like
fake corporations, I'm pretty sure.
Did you see
whatever they do is a whole
video?
fake, it was a whole fake job. Like it wasn't just
Jordan Skrinko's video that he just put out about
the fake, tenant
the fake company and that they, oh God, it was so great. But this is what happens. It's like, you know, you call and they know the answers to the person about the person, like right off the tip of their tongue. It's like,
but then they're buying houses that they can't afford. And then when interest rates keep going up, they're also going to be affected by this.
But nobody was calling before. Like, you understand, like you could put Mickey Mouse as your referral, and nobody gave a shit, right? Like nobody was checking.
Nobody was calling. I know that they can, and the mortgage brokers always told me, like, hey, watch out, like, you know, they might call their job to see if they're still working, because sometimes it's like contract work. There's these different things. Sometimes there's like, they might check your credit again, so that we tell their clients don't go and lease a car before closing, like things like that, right? But a lot of the times they actually don't check. It's just like, it could be random that they actually do check, right? But for the most part, it's just like a lot of deals going through the underwriter's hands, and he's just like, okay, this looks good, this looks good, this looks good. So yeah, I imagine they're calling more people now. Imagine like they're calling the actual employers in a lot of cases.
I'm sure.
I think so. Maybe now.
Yeah, but they weren't before. Like, I know that they weren't before. Like most people were not getting a call to their head office to figure out if that job letter was real or not. They just looked at it and they said it looks real, and they took it, and that was it.
Not even it looks real. It's more like it's good enough for me. Like, let's get to the next one, right? This one's gonna get me my money.
I just want to know.
Realtors do with rental applications too. That's why there's so many fake rental applications out there now. It's become a really big problem lately.
Yeah, that's
so. What are you seeing with that?
An easier one to get away with, because you're just dealing with another realtor who just wants to get the place leased, right?
Oh, I interview the potential tenants now. It's like a 48-hour irrevocable in the offers.
Yeah,
I don't care anymore.
Yeah,
I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna get to it.
I want to come over to where you're living right now. I want to see how you
live,
see
how you're living, what you're doing, how much money you're making.
You're not happy with that? No problem. No problem.
Yeah,
what about lifestyle, Danielle? Like, anytime we've had a couple people who are, you know, in their 20s, and obviously things have changed over the last little while, lifestyle wise, are people starting to, like, you know, be okay with being in a smaller place, being okay with being, you know, maybe not having a car, or like, what are the lifestyle changes that people have had to make in the last couple of years, like in your circles?
It doesn't seem like anyone's made any changes. I feel like people are still spending a lot more than they should be, and it's crazy. They're living paycheck to paycheck, dead.
Yeah,
it's really crazy.
Nobody's eating craft dinner, house hacking.
They're going to Harbor 60, exactly what you guys said.
Oh my
for the Instagram, the lavish life. That's just how it is. I'm telling you from my experience, people my age, a little bit older than me, that's what I've been seeing. And you know that these people don't have money, and they're killing themselves to live this type of life.
I put out a tweet. I put out a tweet the other day. It's like, what happens when the tide goes out and everyone's naked, TK? Because you know what? Rates go high enough and everybody starts getting exposed. Look at what's going on. You got some big companies defaulting on some monster loans in the States right now, right? Like monster commercial companies defaulting on $1.7 billion loans. Like, we have $700 million bankruptcy in Vancouver, $1.7 billion default in the States. Like, this is still, I think, the tip of the iceberg, guys. Like,
it is the tip of the iceberg. It's going to get way worse.
So what happens to all these people who are out there, you know, balling it and just don't get, like, they're hearing all this negative news and they're looking around going like I just got a raise, bro. Like I'm living it, right? Like
fine,
I got reservations, right? Like I'm going away next week. Like but like people are, a lot of people, I mean, if you aren't in, I guess, certain tech companies, or maybe even the restaurant business is booming now. Like I was saying the other day, I don't know where I was saying it. Maybe it was on here. Like my waiter is living the life that I wish I had, right? Like I'm at this Greek restaurant and the guy's talking about all this amazing stuff he's doing all the time. And I was like, it must be great to be a waiter. Like the tips must be crazy here. Right? Because how is he doing this? And I'm sitting here going like, maybe
you do the math,
like,
and
stop spending on this a little bit. And like, you know what? Like dinners are kind of shit when we go out now. Maybe like chill out a little bit, drink a little more. I think that we just
care a lot more than other people.
Care to not lose what we have versus
like they just
if you have nothing to lose, really, right? If you're living paycheck to paycheck and on credit, like what's the difference?
They don't think about it. I have friends that just don't think about it. They don't want to know. If I bring up inflation, they'll be like, Danielle, shut up. Like I'll be talking about it during dinner. They're like, Danielle, we don't want to talk about it. Like they block it out.
I was really hoping that this was not going to be the answer. I was hoping you were going to tell me that everybody is seeing what's going on, because it takes a generation to change the habits of the people before, right? And we obviously have bad spending habits, and we obviously have bad debt problems. And we need a whole generation of people to be raised in a high interest rate environment where we can get back to like that depression era mentality. Because
who the fuck wants that though?
But that's what it takes though.
Fine, but who wants it? How's it going to happen? People are going to push out against that like crazy.
I'm just telling you, there's certain things that when people grow up a certain way, and maybe it's the children of today. I don't know. Maybe it's the children of 10 years from now before this will happen. But when you grow up a certain way and it's like, you're struggling and you don't have everything, and that you need more, support, but your parents love you, but you see how hard they're working, and that you're making sure that you're not going to go and take on all that debt because you want to have a better life and everything else too. Those are the fundamental changes that need to happen. And if they don't, like, I don't even know when this bubble is going to burst. I just know that it's going to be really bad when it happens. I thought it was going to be this year. I'm just seeing the activity out there and I'm like, people still have money. They're still spending like crazy. So if they just keep absorbing all the inventory that keeps coming up, it doesn't matter how many people go bankrupt, because there'll be a buyer to buy their house at a reasonable price.
Yeah. How much inventory? Like how much inventory do you need to balance this?
So much more than we have now.
Yeah, way more than we have.
And the baby boomers own all the inventory. So they're doing fine. They're like, whatever.
Oh,
good.
Are we going to get into a boomer conversation now?
Just saying that they're the ones who own the inventory. The few people that are struggling are not the people who have all the wealth. And so even if all of them put their houses on the market, there'll be a bunch of boomers who can probably absorb it. They'll say, oh, my neighbor's for sale and he's selling it for the same price I paid 5 years ago. Like, great.
So, but let's just say they didn't own it, or they're letting it go because they're dying or retiring or whatever. I mean, that's inventory. That's good. Yeah. No, but it's inventory nobody can afford. That's the problem. And so we started kind of going on a tangent before and we got distracted. But like, well, people are getting what they wanted. Like everybody's wanted prices to come down, but like, it's less affordable now than it was even 2, 3, 4 years ago, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. It is.
Affordability gap has spread, has it not? So what the fuck? Like, are people okay renting now? I mean, I know the conversation in my house with my kids is like you better be okay with renting, right? Mm-hmm. You have to be okay with renting, or dad has to buy you a condo now. But like, you should learn how to fish on your own.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So like, what the fuck are these kids gonna do? They're gonna, we were saying the other day, if you have a budget of like $2,000 a month, like go look around. Go enjoy that roommate in the 1+ den that you move into downtown. Like, what can you get for
$950 for a room downtown Toronto?
People are paying way more than that. Yeah, way more.
Yeah. So people need to get used to renting until things change. And I don't know how they're going to change.
They can't change. This is the thing. So do people still actually, is there a belief, TK, do you believe even that they can catch up at some point? Like, is that in the realm of reality for you?
I guess I'm an optimist, right? Is that something's going to change, right? There'll be some sort of leveling out. I'm hoping by the time my kids are 30, that they can own a home in an area that they want to be in, that they can afford that.
That's 2 decades from now, bro. That's a long time. Hold on.
When Vancouver was a good example, because when everything was really changing fast, right? This is the Canadian real estate show. We'll try to talk about them. When Vancouver was changing really fast, there were some really successful like people who just couldn't afford to live, on the mainland. Like it was like, the lawyers, the doctors, all those professions that people grow up to be like, to have that status of success. They're like, we can't even afford to buy. Who is buying all these properties? And obviously foreigners are being blamed and all that kind of stuff, right? So I wanted to return to that, where it's not just like elitist foreign nationals or, people who have generational wealth who can afford to buy a house. I want it to be like, if you have two incomes in a marriage, a couple, and you both have, good income, well above average, you should be able to afford the best neighborhood in the city because of that alone, and that you build your way up to it.
The best in the city?
Well, you know what? Yeah. Like something central, something that makes sense. That's how it was.
But then everybody's going to, like, what are we going to build? One building and everybody will live in it? That's not even realistic.
What I'm saying is that if you make the money and you've got the wealth to be able to live in a certain area, that should be an option for you. So,
but just by having a job, by 2 people in the family having a job, you get to live in the best part of town.
Over time, you buy your condo, you pay it down faster because your income improves. You build up equity. You move on to the townhouse, then you move up to the house. By the time you're 40, you're living in the right house because you've had, a solid income.
It's become way harder than that, though.
Way harder than that.
And also lawyers and doctors. My lawyer complains. My doctor complains.
Yeah.
My doctor looked at me, he's like, you're probably making way more money than me, and I went to school for 8 years. And I'm like, it is what it is.
It hurts.
It does hurt.
They don't like the sound of that. But at the end of the day, I'm hoping that my son, Darryl, to answer your question, my sons will be able to buy houses in the city and live where they want to, based on their income. And
a lot of people suffering on the way to your sons in 20 years from now buying something, TK. 15 years from now, maybe they're going to think about buying something, right?
I'm okay with prices going down for 20 years. Doesn't affect me.
So selfish, TK.
It doesn't affect me. I'm just saying.
Jesus, you're like an evil villain.
You should be paying off your mortgage. Whatever price you just bought your house for, you should have had a plan to be paying off this mortgage. So
what about
let's say it was a 25-year amortization, accelerate it, pay it off in 20. So now after 20 years, you've paid off your loan. Your commitment was to buy that house at that price. 20 years later, you're using tomorrow's money, which is worth less than today's.
This is not how it works here in Canada. This is
not the price that what they sold us to buy in with is going to be more affordable. And inflation too will change things. I mean, wages will rise. There'll be lots of other factors that'll come in.
No, but what happens here is that you sell it in 3 years and you make 150 grand clear and you don't pay tax on it. And then you buy another one and it happens again. And you just keep doing that.
And you never lose, right?
Real estate.
Danielle was asking, when do we think inflation is going to come down?
Isn't it coming down already?
It's starting to come down. We had great numbers there in January, but
you know what stops the CPI from going up? Blowing up Nord Stream 2 and cutting off like a whole bunch of gas supply to the world. That and a war, which doesn't seem to be de-escalating, that should probably bring prices on things down. We're fucked. Like, there's no way. And people are still spending. And right now, like, what's a mortgage rate? A 5-year mortgage rate now? Is it still in the 5s?
5%, yeah.
5%. So things went from you could get it with a 1 in front of it to now a 5 in front of it. And people are like in bidding wars regularly, right? Yeah. And still at Harbor 60.
Prices are still high. Interest rates are still high. And there's still bidding wars.
Still bidding wars. Still hard to get a reservation at a good restaurant at 8 p.m.
What does that tell you, Danielle? If there's still people out there buying, what does that tell you?
I don't know what that tells me.
Unemployment super low.
People need a place to live.
They need a place to live, but yeah, I was talking to another
it.
agent. He's like, there's people getting divorced. There's people that, you know, just sold and they need to buy. So many different reasons, but
immigration, maybe there's some people coming in lately.
Yeah.
No, are you not a proponent of immigration making a difference?
I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
No, but do you think it makes a difference to the market? Yeah.
I don't feel like it's made a difference.
Can they buy a house?
I think that they can. Yeah. Like I work with immigrants all the time. It's just, I don't know if it's making a huge change. I feel like they should let a lot more people in.
More than the 800,000 they let in last year?
We don't have that many people in Canada.
Not in Canada, but the concentration of humans in Canada seem to be narrowly focused to this one little part that's right beside the CN Tower. Yeah,
you have to see the CN Tower when you come to Canada.
If you can't see the CN Tower,
this isn't Canada. What are you talking about? We're in like Russia.
I thought that they were letting in immigrants all throughout Canada, though, not specifically.
But who the hell if you were like desperately trying to get out of your country and move somewhere else, and they handed you the Saskatchewan card, what would you do?
Run.
Right.
I'd say, yeah, okay, no problem. Thank you very much. And as soon as I landed, I'd be on a bus to Toronto. Like,
yeah, but see, TK,
to go see my cousin.
See, Danielle, he didn't grow up in Thornhill like we did. He thinks very differently. Of course I did.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I think very differently. What do you mean? So
listen, you're like all happy. You'd go into like Wheat Town and you'd have fun. And me and Danielle would be like, what is
I grew up in Scarborough. We gotta, you know, we're used to it over there. You know, it's tough streets over there, right?
We need at least
Saskatoon,
Calgary.
no problem. I can handle it.
At least Calgary.
Yeah.
Vancouver.
Oh, everyone's loving Calgary now.
What's going on with Calgary? They have the best marketing campaign in Canada. That's it.
Yeah, they're trying to I have realtors reaching out to me from there saying, you know, sell this pre-con project, and there's people that are actually.
Are you doing it?
I'm not.
No.
Why
I don't know anything about Calgary. I'm focused on Ontario. I don't know anything about Calgary, and I don't have any clients that want to buy in Calgary. Like my generation, they're not going to move to Calgary because they can't afford anything here. They'd rather rent and just live in Toronto. No one wants to move to Calgary.
If your clients said to you, like, if you had a friend and they were like, look, Danielle, we've got, you know, I work at the post office and my husband works at, you know, the hospital as a nurse. And, you know, we've got jobs that we can go anywhere, and we're thinking about going to Calgary, and we'll just start our family there because, you know, we're fine with seeing our family on Zoom and things like that. And we can travel whenever we need to. Like, what would you say to your clients?
If they want to move to Calgary, no problem. I'll refer them to an agent there, help them buy a pre-con there, no problem. But I haven't come across anyone that's wanted to do that.
But it's crazy that people aren't doing that, though, right?
A lot of people. How is it crazy? Doesn't it make sense? It should be. Saskatchewan should be like people should be rushing there. The amount of jobs that will be available in Saskatchewan in the coming decade is going to be insane. The price of wheat and things that they grow there is going to go through the goddamn roof in the next decade. And like, it's going to be a boom town, but you still have to live in Saskatchewan. That's the drawback, right? Yeah. So Calgary seems to be, and I haven't been to either, from my perspective, seems to be the better of the two. It seems to be a little hipper and cooler, and I don't know, maybe it's just because it's more expensive. It seems better, right? But like, it seems like I would want to live in Calgary over Saskatchewan. But like, who wants to live in New Brunswick or the Yukon, or what's the new one called? Nunavut. Who the fuck's moving to Nunavut?
They don't want none of it. Yeah, I think New Brunswick and all those places too, I think are, again, like, more people should be moving there. If you have a job, you want to raise your family, you realize that here it's like slave labor working for, you know, somebody else to just pay 50% of your income towards rent or a mortgage payment. Go and enjoy life living in a smaller city somewhere else.
I agree with you guys, but it's very difficult to pick up and leave. All your friends, all your family, all your memories.
New friends, new.
But when you're young, they're still your
memories.
friends, TK. You need another decade to realize that they're all shit and assholes and liars, and then you can move.
Very true.
I got associates now.
When you're in your 30s, it's like, fuck everybody, let's go. But then the kids make you stay. Then the kids are like, I got my friends
with those guys because they got the same age kids.
I got to play online with them in the same city. I can't be like in a warm country on a beach online. Dad, jerk, wanting to live your dream. So but this is the cycle, right? This is the cycle. It's hard to leave. We talk about it all the time. Like in the States, though, they seem to have no problem picking up and leaving and moving to another state, right?
They have better options.
But they still have family in the original state. And
I mean, to move from New York to Miami.
Well, it's the same people, but when you're you're talking like Nebraska to wherever the hell else, right?
Yeah.
Like people are moving from New York to Idaho, right? Or from Chicago to wherever, Dallas now to get a job, right?
I think that's better though than moving from Ontario to Saskatchewan. Or to Nunavut.
But Saskatchewan's the new Dallas. It's the new Austin. It's just, we're not going to have a tech sector. We're going to have a wheat sector that's booming. I
just looked up.
We should, anyways.
New York to Miami. New York to Miami round trip, $192. Canadian.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's why.
That's cheap.
When people live in the States, they're like, you know what? I fly home for the weekend to go see mom and dad. It's no big deal. That's why those flights are more accessible. The airports are there, and that people can move around.
Here, I spent a lot of time in LA, Miami, and New York, and very expensive, but in my opinion, better life.
But if you move to like Iowa, you know, and then you just had to go back to visit your friends and family or hang out on the weekend or something like that, it's affordable to do that. Where here, it's not.
I would do that.
You move to Iowa, you get like acreage, right? You get acreage and you get like a gated community and you get like a palace for, you ready? $280, right?
Yeah.
Somehow.
Texas prices are crazy.
What the fuck is going on?
I love Texas.
Yeah, how do they Texas would be where I'd move. I'd move to Texas if I was going to go to anywhere else.
How do they build them like that?
Mexicans.
You see, that's the missing ingredient. Mexicans.
We don't have a Mexican labor force. That's our issue over here.
So who are we bringing in here? Why aren't we the immigration capital of the world, and we're not bringing in enough Mexicans?
The Mexicans are the hardest workers out there. They say they're going to be done by April 15th. It's done by April 12th.
They have to keep the Mexicans in Mexico because here they make $20 an hour. There they make like $3,
maybe less. Yeah.
If you come here now, you got to make minimum wage, right?
Yeah.
What a fuck up. All we have to do, TK, is make robotic manufacturing facilities. We were driving the other day and we passed by the Amish furniture store. And I was like, I'll bet you it's a bunch of robots in there for real, because that's the easiest thing that robots could put together. It's like 5 pieces of wood, right?
It's not like, robots.
Right. I'll bet you they got robots back there.
That would be the
easiest thing to manufacture on earth.
Furniture shop. But actually, Danielle, that's good that you brought that up. Danielle, what do you think about like Chat GPT and stuff like that?
Oh my God, I was just going to bring this up to you guys.
Yeah, what do you think about all that in real estate?
It scares me.
Yeah.
I just used it twice. I just used it for 2 clauses on my last like offer that I put out. I used it for a VTB clause.
Yeah.
It's fucking brilliant. I posted it on Twitter. It wrote a VTB clause for me, and it wrote, what was the other thing? Like, and these are clauses that I know I have somewhere and I couldn't find them. And so like, I was like, type me a clause in Ontario, VTB, where the this and that. And it's like, boom, in perfect legalese. Like I put on Twitter, not one lawyers were like, oh crap. Right. Have you used it for real estate?
So I actually tried it 2 days ago. I typed in, type me a buyer newsletter for 2023 in the Ontario market, something like that. I was mind blown.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy.
I was like, how is this thing writing better than me? I'm a good writer.
Yeah. Yeah. Go pick out the GTP3 Substack in my Substack articles. Tell me which one was written by GPT-3.
Like, where was this when I was in university?
My son has been like using this for homework for, I don't even know how long, for a while before chat, like this whole wave. My son's like, yep, I've been doing this for months, Dad. I haven't done homework for months. I was like,
wow.
It's just different though. Like I used to have to go to the library or grab an encyclopedia and just copy out exactly what it said. Like find the most obscure book on the topic and then copy it verbatim, right? Maybe add a couple of words in. But like now it's like, do my homework, GPT, let's go. But what else can it do? Like I'm not even kidding.
So real estate, like creating social media posts, ads, things like that. If you want to do your description, so you don't want to write your listings anymore, you can just be like, all right, I got a 3-bedroom bungalow on a ravine lot in a private area. Write me a nice description that makes it sound really appealing, and they can write something for you.
SEO marketing. It'll do your SEO marketing plan for you.
Yeah, you've got a lot of stuff on the online marketing side and everything else for it. What else? Probably database management tools, right? Like there's so many things that realtors will. And so those young realtors, the ones who are getting their license now, or the ones who are getting trained right now, are going to come into this and they're going to be like, man, these old dogs, they don't know what they're doing. Like we're automating everything.
But it's not always right. It's not always right. Like if you actually go through the entire paragraph that they write you, it's not on point. Like you have to edit it.
You have to go through it.
But it's getting better. And then it'll eventually get to the point where you know how to automate certain things, right?
Yes.
And I think automation is, we were talking about this a lot for the last couple of years. Automation is key in every industry. And there's certain jobs that'll be eliminated. Our job will not be eliminated. It'll be enhanced. Right? And what I hope to happen, this is my bright idea, is that automation will decrease the amount of agents that we have. It'll decrease commissions because it'll be less work per agent and there'll be more deals to do. So we can, hopefully make the same amount of money, but we do more deals, but do less work because there's all this automation in between and things can happen fairly. And then that way there isn't a bunch of yahoos running around selling real estate. You have the real professionals who know how to do it, who are all there for the right reasons. And the consumer wins because they pay a lower fee, and the agents aren't affected because they still make the same amount of money doing the same amount of work, which obviously my idea would have that element to it because it benefits me. But this is what I see as being something that's, really realistic, right?
I hope so. It sounds like a good plan.
Good, right? Sounds like a nice little oasis of real estate.
It's great. It's a great fantasy, because the real issue is like, look at Danielle. She was there at 15. She's not learning from people that think like her and that are looking into new tech. She's learning from some dinosaur who's like, go get me the carbon paper, hun. Right? You know, like, but I'm not kidding.
But that takes time.
That takes learning from dinosaurs and the training program. I mean, I don't know what you went through, but this Humber program is so bad. It's so pathetic. It's so, I can't believe that this is how they put you guys out to the world. It's insane.
I heard it's easier than what Aurea was.
It's better probably too, Darryl, than what Aurea was. Like it's probably more detailed.
This is sad.
Aurea didn't teach me anything. It was my experience in the industry that taught me everything about real estate.
Right. And so how many of your mentors was like, you got to check out Calendly or whatever that, like they're not sitting there going, hey, like check out this new tech's going to make you a rock star and make me obsolete. Here you go. No.
Before I was licensed, I was teaching the older realtors how to use social media.
For sure.
Yeah. They're sitting there going, normal. Fucking bitch. What is she trying to tell to do? What
they didn't like it. Right? They didn't like it. People make fun of me for being on TikTok.
Tell me what to do. Yeah.
Yeah. And TikTok is like probably the easiest way to reach people out of every other platform.
It depends what you post. Like I don't dance on there.
But still,
strictly just me speaking.
Views wise, exposure.
It's exposure.
Right? Yeah.
And it's
like, then you lead them to your Twitter, to your Instagram,
familiarity,
your YouTube channel, whatever. Yeah.
People when they talk to you, or people even when they talk to me now, they feel like they kind of know me or you a little bit because you give them a little insight through your videos, right? So you get like that warm lead if they're willing to work with you, which is interesting.
I think it's really important to do the old school lead gen as well as the new stuff.
What's the old school lead gen? Talk to me.
Door knocking, cold calling.
So you're banging on doors? You're walking up to people's doors going, hey, how's it going?
Talking to people is the old school way, one way or another, however you get there. But actually having a conversation with another human being is the
Because
only way
social
to
media
sell,
helps,
you know?
because people watch my videos and I'm open about my life, so they connect with me. And in sales, you need to connect with the person that you're working with, so they feel comfortable with working with me. I've had people call me from my online presence, and they're like, "Listen, like I fired my agent. I want to work with you.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I vibe with you." Those are the words that they use. Vibe. I feel like I vibe with you. I
Young
love your
generation
energy.
terminology, Daryl.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
it
want
means
to
that they're
work
getting
with you.
along. Okay,
No,
Daryl,
but
just so you
that's
know.
what it is. You get the vibe off you, right?
Yeah.
Do you ever, but do people ever like show up at the coffee shop that you're at and you're like, hey, Danielle, I saw you get coffee over here. When are we?
Yes.
Right? Like,
I'm
that would be weird.
actually, so people don't believe me, but I'll walk down the streets of Toronto, or I'll be in Vaughan, whatever, be like, oh my God, you're the real estate TikTok girl. I know you. I actually
Nice.
watched my boyfriend watch your video the other day. I heard your voice in the other room. It's crazy because it's actually made me somewhat famous.
Yeah, like
I love it.
TK. TK goes to open houses all the time, and they're like, "Aren't you that guy
There's
from
like
that?
4 people who recognize me from
Weren't
this
you on that
show, and they were
dentures
like, "Aren't you
commercial?"
the?" You're like, "And what about the funny guy, Daryl?" And I was like, "I
thought
thought
you
I
were
was
the
the funny
guy.
one." And
You
they're
are the
like,
funny one.
"Yeah." And then it got awkward, and then the conversation ended right there. But so far, that's exactly how the conversation.
People just throw shit at me if they notice me in public.
Yeah.
You're that guy
Daryl
that
doesn't go out
says
his
stuff.
house.
It's all positive though.
He's not seen in public. Yeah, it's good, right? Social media, I think, is important. So you're
it's
a
dangerous
step ahead.
though, right?
She was teaching agents social media as a teenager before you were even licensed.
Yeah.
That's the start you need. And so now new generations will come up. Social media is huge. Technology is huge. So maybe, Daryl, they're not gonna, the real estate skill part, they'll still have to learn from the dinosaurs, but they'll be adding in these new schools that are literally just like common knowledge. It'll just be like, it's like when email came out, you know, like it's like, you know, how to scan a document and send it.
But when
that
you're
was something
young,
that people already knew coming into the industry, and it wasn't they had to change. Whereas like my dad, literally talking to him how to scan an email, I swear I still have conversations with him. He's been doing it for like over a decade, but his age and everything else, it's like scanning a document.
Fax it to me, right?
DocuSign.
Fax it.
Don't get me started.
Yeah, I don't do DocuSign, right?
Yeah.
It's like a flip phone. Like,
yeah.
But the problem is when you're young and you're nervous and you don't know what the fuck to do, and somebody takes you under their wing and they're not teaching you this stuff. Now that when you want to use it, it becomes like, hey, I'm using this thing, right? And they're like, you don't need that stuff right now. You just just listen to what I told you. You'll be fine, right? Stick with me and you'll be with silk pajamas or whatever the hell, right? They all have like their thing that they say that somebody said to them 20 years earlier.
Yeah.
But this is the way, right? And it's hard when you're nervous and you don't know what to do to like, am I going to use this thing that I think is really smart that no one is really using right now? Or am I going to just go grab the carbon paper and do it the old way? That seems to work for all these people, right? And it's just tough to be in that middle spot. Even with me, like with development, I learned from some dinosaurs, and very early I was like, this is the dumbest way to do this. We have to like do it like this, and we got to do it like this and do it like this. And I mean, now I'm not part of the group anymore, right?
Just like that.
Well, but not because they kicked me out, but because it didn't work. It didn't make any sense for me to work with these dinosaurs. But like when you're a realtor and you're like, I was older when I started doing this. When you're young and you start doing this and you don't know, or in an environment like today and you're just starting, I mean, fuck, can you imagine how scary it must be? You're going to try something new right now, fuck up the only listing you got. Like, think about it, right?
Yeah.
Are you going to try something new and invent
I think if you're young, you're going to do it. You're going to be like, it's more effort. It's not like you're putting out a lot of money. It's just going to be like, okay, let's try to post this listing a certain way.
Social media is nothing anymore. That's a no-brainer. It's the new stuff that's coming out.
Exactly. Like using ChatGPT to write the description, or, you know,
would you trust it? Would you trust it? Like, do people know it enough
afterwards? You're not going to, you know.
Yeah, but people read what they write and put out already. It doesn't make any fucking sense. You ever read an offer that an agent put out?
Yeah, sometimes they're not knowledgeable enough. They'll read through something and they won't know what's right and wrong, especially if they're new.
Even if they're not new.
Or English is not their first language is another obstacle,
yeah,
right?
That's
so
another.
They might not pick up on little details.
That's a great place for ChatGPT-3 to help, though, is for people that don't speak the best English to plug it in there and get it to spit it out in English. ChatGPT 3 is going to be a game changer, though. So what else do we need? So from your perspective in the industry, what is the most important thing that the industry needs right now that would make the biggest difference? Not change everything, because that's impossible, but the biggest impact now. What would have to happen in your perspective?
Less agents.
Less agents. Just just beheading in front of everybody. Just take 35,000 and just done.
Well, that's exactly what's happening right now. There's a industry cleanse.
Natural, though. We need the unnatural. We need like humans to come in with swords right now and just clean house. No, really. It's like if you've done 1 or 2 transactions in the last X years, you lose your license. You can't just refresh it. How about that at least? You can't just maintain your license. You got to do something. TK, what about you? Do I?
Yeah.
Should I run on this? Should this be my campaign promise? I'm going to run for mayor, guys. Should I run for mayor?
Well, a lot of people just get it to sell their own real estate and their friends and family's real estate, and they have like a full-time job. I mean, 3 of my Uber drivers in the last few months, they're also realtors.
3 of my Uber drivers are realtors.
At jiu-jitsu the other day when I asked him, because he said he recognized me, and I said, like, I was asking him questions, and I said, well, are you a realtor? I said, maybe you know me from real estate. And he looked at me, he was like, yeah, actually I am, but I have many other jobs as well, And so I was like, oh,
it should be a full-time thing.
Cool.
This job should
so maybe full-time. But how do you regulate full-time, right? So I think, number of deal transactions would be one, right? But then there's so many people who need a license for other reasons, appraisers, all that kind of stuff. It's really complicated. I think the main thing is always just going to be public education. Consumers need to know
appraisers
what they're dealing with. They need to understand who they're hiring so that they pick the right person,
But if you give all these people that appraisers don't need their license, they need the access to the info that the realtor has, right? All these people just need access to the info that you guys are clinging on to for dear life, because it's the only thing that makes you relevant. Fuckers. Anyways, Danielle, we could talk about this forever. It was great to meet you. Thank you for joining us.
Wicked success you're having, and good job.
Social media presence.
Like, do what you're doing, and like just keep doing it. Do it really well. Don't listen to what anybody else is telling you, and
be who you are.
Just trying to stand out.
Be who you are, though. Yeah, stand out by being honest and real. Because I'll tell you, a lot of these social media guys that we interact with regularly, they don't know how to fucking sell real estate. They know how to market real estate.
Yeah,
big difference.
Huge difference.
And you get good at selling real estate by selling real estate.
Selling real estate.
Happens. You just eventually get good at it because you've done it so much. Then you know how to do it better than everyone else. But
you make mistakes. You make mistakes. You go, oh boy, I better not do it like that again. Or like, oh, thank God that didn't bite me in the ass.
Mistakes are important, obviously, because you learn from them. But I try and take care of everything. But a lot
own up to our mistakes and make sure that everybody is happy. So at the end, the client says, dealing with you was fantastic, and I'd recommend you to anybody else. And the long-term perspective, you have no idea when I talk to agents how short sighted they are. It's like, well, they don't want to buy right now. They're gonna wait till next year. I'm like, are you going to be an agent next year? Well, yeah. Do you think you'd maybe want to have a client next year who's looking to buy something with you? Well, yeah. I'm like, so why don't you just help them deal with whatever it is they need to do, whether it's a rental or maybe they're doing renovations or getting their financing organized. Take them out for lunch. I don't know. Next year they'll be your client. How do you not understand that? It's a long-term business. The people that I'm dealing with today, some of them were 10 years ago that I was doing stuff with them. And it's just now the time for them to move.
My business is all referrals. So when people ask me, like, I got a call from an agent the other day. She's like, how are you getting so many listings? I'm like, referrals. Yeah. I do good by one person and then they stick with me.
Everything's long-term.
Yeah, everything's long-term. You're building relationships. It's not a one-time transaction.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what makes us stand out as realtors.
It has to be. I always had a motto whenever I was working on sales, always, is it's about the next transaction, not this one. And if you treat it about the next one with these folks,
you're
going to act very different. No, but you're going to behave differently on this one. A lot of people will be short-sighted and they'll be like, fuck this. I got to get as much money out of this deal as possible. And like, forget about tomorrow. Like, let's just squeeze it out of this. And that attitude, you make different decisions based on different things that come up in the deal, right? And if you want to make sure that you work with these people next time they need to buy or sell, you're going to treat that situation a little differently, for sure. Yeah. And if everybody would just worry about that next one and securing the next one, it will make
me more. Think about the next deal. It's never about that one deal. Yeah.
Referrals and free social media marketing. What a world.
Speaking of social media, Danielle, shameless plug, where can our listeners find you?
Oh, I think I emailed this to you guys, but
just for our listeners too, will just be some of them.
Do you understand? Danielle's the only one who followed the directions.
Complete instructions.
She reconfirmed.
I'm like that.
She did everything that we asked for.
This is the perfect reason to hire her as a realtor.
Everybody else just ignores
it. I did bring a mic, and then I realized that I don't have the proper converter for the USB. So I'm like, crap. Had the same mic.
Sound was good. Okay, awesome. So where can people find you? The people who are listening and won't see the description.
So you could just search me up, Danielle Levy or Levy Real Estate Group. Most of my handles are at Levy Real Estate Group.
Perfect.
So it's my last name and then group.
And we will post it in the description below. Thank you very much for your time.
With you. Nice to meet you.
So much for having me, guys.
Great to meet you. And have a wonderful weekend.
You too.